There are many different kinds of painting. There's alla prima painting and plein air painting. Alla prima means at the first, and plein air means outside, open air. Today we're talking about studio painting and the uniquenesses involved with it. And I like to think of it as a process of layering. And each layer has a distinct and unique purpose. So this is the first layer of a canvas, and it's been gessoed. We've talked about gesso in other videos. I've got 5 layers of gesso on this canvas. I started with 2 black, and then I've got 3 white, and then this is just a finished surface. And now I'm going to talk about the design and layout. We also mentioned that in another video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort of, this is going to be a marsh painting. And so going to be a lot of people paint marshes, and I think the uniqueness of my marshes is it's an excuse to almost do abstract work with vibrant color and a lot of surface. And in order to do that, I kind of reduce a lot of the content. So it's just going to be earth, grass, water, and maybe a hint of sky. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the big subject mass, and I want to create like an arrow that's going to begin to point us, take us from off the canvas toward the subject matter, which is going to be somewhere about here. So I'm just going to look at this shape without being too definite, and then I'm going to figure out what's going to happen with this landmass as it comes back this way perhaps, and then figure out if there's going to be a horizon line, make sure this comes off the surface, and then I'm going to look at this just loosely to see if I have an interesting eye flow. And one of the things that we're really doing is creating a series of arrows or wedges that point the eye. So this is a very large wedge that points us this way, but look at this wedge. This negative shape points us like this. This is almost a square, which is a really nice little way to anchor the painting. What I've done is create a wedge or an arrow that moves us in this direction. In the process of doing that and finding the top of this next landmass, I'm really looking at finding this big square which is going to anchor the piece. And this will be a prismatic progression that moves the eye this way and then back into this direction. So this is what I'm looking for. Do I have enough room for that? Then I'm looking for this point to actually have a device that'll move the eye back down and create this movement of eye flow that goes from the lower left to the 3/4 of the way across on the right, to the upper left, and then back down to the lower left again. And this eye flow is really important. So once I'm satisfied that I've got this set up, I'll then take a lot of medium and a lot of paint and cover the canvas. And I'm just going to take everything that's here and I'm going to create a random application of paint. And one of the reasons we're doing this is because we want to really create a surface that's unique to this painting, that really helps with the ability to put the next layer of paint on. And so to that end, I'm going to be as random as I can and really try to just get the directional aspect down. And so I'm putting a lot of medium in the paint and using a lot of energy to put this paint down. The only reason to use medium in a painting is to create energy, and this is the best time to create energy in a painting. If you don't have energy at this point of the painting, there's no way to get it in later. So this is a really important part of the process for me. And again, this is a unique application of paint, and I want to make sure that I have everything down that I want. So this is going to be the surface that creates this prismatic progression. So I'm making sure that the emphasis on the direction of brushstrokes is horizontal, because water surface is horizontal, water reflections are vertical. So I'm going to make sure I have the water surface referenced. Then I'm going to take some of that same paint, mix some dark with it, and start to establish the values. So part of this directional aspect is making a shape that moves from one direction to another. So I'm going to make certain that I have some dark that anchors the eye here. Solid water. Using large brushes, big open strokes. Then I'll find a little bit of a reference to a horizon line to see how much that is. Play with that. Move the eye this way. I'll take the rest of that paint, put some light into it. get some more medium so I can energetically put this down. All right. So this is the very first application of energy and layout for the space between the land masses. I've got this big pile of mixed black, and I'm going to do that again with the black. I'm just going to take this big mixed black, I'm going to squirt some medium into it. It's a huge amount of paint, guys. And the whole idea here is to use these tools to get the paint from here to the canvas. So I've got that paint there. I'm going to then take this and I'm going to just start to create a surface that will be grasses eventually and maybe fluff mud. And I'm just going to, or fluff mud, I'm not sure what that word is. Some kind of mud. So look at the directional aspect of this and the shape. Remember that wedge that I created? I'm maintaining that wedge. I'm going to find that second landmass. Again, load that up, put it on my brush. Slap it into place. Spread it over the area I want to incorporate, and then start to shape that into vertical grasses and angled fluff mud surfaces. And this is not in any way accurate. It's just a first layer of paint. Its job is to create the energy and the surface that I need for each subsequent layer. So I've got this sitting over here. I didn't leave myself a whole lot of room there, so I may actually take some of this and open it up a little bit, pull that down just enough so that I have a little more room for the eye to move that way, and then reapply that. This area here is going to be fluff mud. Come across here. I'm not sure what's going to happen here yet, but whatever it is, it's going to break that edge up. I want my four corners to be different, so if I can, I'll try to get this off the surface, off the top. I'll take the rest of this paint with my knife and scrape it up into a big pile. And just put it on the canvas. Any way I can. Now, this is all wet paint and it's really disgusting and loose and juicy. And I want to provide really interesting underwear so that when I reveal it or leave little bits of it, there's some real excitement to look at that you just can't establish at another point. To that end, I'm going to use something called Kills spray paint, and I'm going to barely press the lid down so it just sort of spits. See those little white dots it gives? I'm going to try to create just a random kind of spitting of this across the surface and areas. And the idea is that, again, we're trying to provide some sense of magic at the end of a painting, and we have no way of establishing magic at the end if we don't put magic in at the beginning or in the process. There's just no way to create that sense of what am I looking at? How is this looking so natural and yet it's man-made? So then I'll clean the nozzle out, put that to the side. I'll take a big rubber tip tool or a paintbrush or something else, and I'll start to come back in and carve some directional references that I'm looking for. So just different ways of breaking up this surface so I can see this may be some sense of the fluff mud, and I'm just going to find some directional aspect of that. This is the water's edge, maybe the water's edge over here. Find some references to what will be grasses eventually, just a way of breaking up this surface and providing some sense of surprise, some lack of expectation. Coming across here. So I've got established my sense of distance over here. It's lighter, it's not as dense. I've got my density, I've got my darks that provide the eye flow, I've got my wedges. This is going to point this way, this is going to point that way. This shape has some counterpoint. This shape's going to be a major point. It's really interesting. I haven't figured out how to get down here yet, but so what I'll do is I'll make certain that I have some big opportunities to move the eye. So I'm going to put some big verticals into this spot just so that I have a vehicle to help move us down, and maybe even put some reflections into this water, which will be water on this side. And this is the end of coat 1. That's all I wanted to do. So I wanted to cover the canvas, I wanted to provide energy to the surface, and I wanted to give myself something to react to.